Long before maps dared to chart the upper ridges of the Himalayas, there were whispers, fragments of old tongues carried on cold winds, about a place the gods had turned their backs on. A village, hidden beyond frozen passes and veiled in white silence, where the sun set too quickly and shadows lingered too long. Kausha, they called it, not found in any registry or satellite scan. It simply existed, nestled in the crook of forgotten hills, as if the land itself tried to keep it secret. Dr. Shreya Verma had always believed knowledge was the final frontier, an ever-expanding tapestry of fact and theory. But when she received an unmarked envelope containing a photograph of an ancient stone wall in the middle of nowhere, with a perfect black hole in its center and 4 scrawled words beneath, "It listens. It waits," her certainty began to erode. Rationality bowed to something older than truth. Against her instincts and the warnings of colleagues, she set off into the northern heights, unaware that she wasn't being invited by discovery, but summoned by something far more ancient and far less human. Part 1. The Letter in the Village. The Himalayan village of Kausha lay buried beneath snow and silence, hidden from time and forgotten by the modern world. Unmarked on any map, it stood like a memory the earth itself had chosen to repress. When Dr. Shreya Verma, a renowned archaeologist specializing in ancient Indian civilizations, received an envelope with no return address, she was intrigued. But more than that, she was drawn. Inside was a photograph of a crumbling stone wall in the middle of a wintry forest. At the center of the wall was a perfectly symmetrical hole, round and black like an eye. Below the image, in what looked like dried blood, were 4 cryptic words. "It listens. It waits." Against her better judgment, Shreya packed her journals, left her lab in Delhi, and traveled north. When she finally arrived in Kausha, wrapped in the deadness of winter, the villagers met her with cold eyes and lips sealed with dread. When she asked about the ruins, the village elder warned her gravely, "That place is not meant to be found. We call it the Whispering Wall." Part 2. The Whispering Wall. Ignoring the warning, Shreya followed the directions scribbled on the back of the photograph. Her path led her deep into a frost-covered forest, where trees bent like mourners and light seemed hesitant to shine. The ruin stood silent among the snowdrifts as if waiting. The wall itself was impossibly smooth, its stone unmarred by age or erosion. At its center was the hole, perfectly round, impossibly black, as though it swallowed not just light but thought. The moment her eyes met the void, she felt something shift inside her chest, like her breath caught in a web she couldn't see. That night, the dreams began. In them, she wandered through stone corridors that seemed older than earth, voices whispering in tongues she didn't understand. The dreams returned night after night, the whispers growing louder and the void in the wall appearing larger each time. Her sleep offered no peace, only dread. Part 3. Echoes in the Mind. By the 4th night, her dreams showed her something else. Eyes, dozens of them, glimmering inside the hole, watching her. A voice, not male or female, ancient and cold, said, "You see now. You hear." She woke with blood trickling from her ear. Her scientific mind tried to rationalize it as stress or altitude sickness, but she couldn't ignore the way the world had started to bend around her. In her research tent, she dug through Himalayan folklore, desperate for meaning. There, in an obscure manuscript reference, she found mention of the Avastantar Tantra, a forbidden pre-Vedic text rumored to describe creatures that lived beyond perception, entities who looked into our world through cracks, reflections, dreams, or holes. The wall was not merely ancient, it was sacred or cursed. And somehow, it had opened something inside her. Part 4. The Door Opens. Compelled by a force she couldn't name, Shreya returned to the ruin. The villagers begged her not to go, some wept openly, but she couldn't stop herself. The wall called to her now. When she pressed her palm against the cold stone, the forest fell silent. The wind stopped. Even her heartbeat seemed to pause. The circle began to pulse like a living thing. Her vision collapsed into darkness. She awoke hours later, lying in the snow, dizzy and weak. But the wall was gone. Or perhaps it had never been a wall at all. It had been a door, and now it stood open. The space where the circle had been was no longer stone, but a swirling void. Something vast and terrible waited beyond it, breathing not air but thought. Part 5. Madness and Metamorphosis. From that point onward, Shreya was no longer entirely herself. Her journal entries became erratic, scrambled timelines, forgotten language, strange diagrams drawn in a hand that barely resembled her own. She wrote of galaxies without stars, of a sea made of shadows, and of the Jurak, the one who listens beneath skin. Her body began to change. Unfamiliar symbols appeared on her, arms burned into her skin as if seared by invisible fire. Her reflection began to act strangely, blinking when she didn't, smiling when she was still. Birds fell dead from the sky when she passed. The villagers, those who had not already fled, succumbed to madness. Some tore out their own eyes, screaming about the circle in the wall. The air around Kausha thickened with dread. The world, it seemed, was cracking. And Shreya was the fissure. Part 6. Aftermath and Legacy. No one knows exactly how Kausha disappeared. When a search team arrived years later, they found only snow and silence. No trace of the village, the forest, or the temple remained. Only a single journal, half buried in ice, survived the void. Its last page was smeared with something between ink and blood, a single drawn circle, and a final message. There is no wall now, only windows, and we are all being watched. Since then, mountaineers passing near the location have reported strange phenomena. Faint whispers in languages no one speaks, and the sound of something breathing within the mountain itself. They say the air feels too still, too aware, as if the stones themselves are listening, as if something behind the veil is waiting, patiently, and so Kausha was lost, not destroyed but unwritten, as though whatever emerged from the wall had devoured not just the village, but its history, its name, its right to exist. Only one thing remained, a battered leather journal discovered by a rescue party near the coordinates, its pages soaked with melted frost and ink the color of dried blood. Its final message, handwritten, trembling, desperate, read, "We made a window where a wall once stood. We taught it how to listen. Now it knows how to find us. No maps mark Kausha now. No forests grow in that region. Only blank snowfields and sudden gusts of wind that sound like voices. Climbers have gone missing. Radios emit static that sometimes whispers names. On moonless nights, satellites report strange heat signatures moving beneath the ice, round and smooth and watching. The hole, they say, was never a hole. It was an eye, and it is open still.